Representative Dubitsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we have a Fourth Amendment right. We're protected against unreasonable searches and seizures. And the reason why we have that right is to protect people who have not done anything wrong from being detained, questioned, harassed by authorities simply because of the way they look, simply because of who they are, simply because they are in the wrong place at the wrong time. Our Fourth Amendment rights are inviolable, and we don't give them up simply because it will make it easier for law enforcement. Now, we have those rights, and those rights are, and we will be giving up those rights under this bill. I call this bill the Racial Profiling Enabling Act. Under this bill, there will be nothing to prevent a law enforcement officer from stopping any person who they think shouldn't be where they are. All they have to say is, "I thought I saw a gun." How many times have we heard that over the last several years? "I thought I saw a gun." That's all the cop has to say. We have a problem in this state and in this country with racial profiling, and we have a protection against that called the Fourth Amendment. Now, under the Fourth Amendment, a police officer needs to have a reasonably articulable suspicion that somebody has done something wrong, that they've been involved in a crime, that they're in the process of committing a crime, or even that they're about to commit a crime. A police officer can't just pull over any car they want and demand to see a driver's license. They have to see something wrong. They have to see swerving. They have to see a tail light out. They have to have a report that that car was involved in some kind of crime or suspicious activity. They can't just go pull people over. Well, this bill would allow exactly that for people walking on the street. Terry versus Ohio, U.S. Supreme Court case, said you can't do that. You can't just single somebody out, stop them, and demand to see ID. You can't just pat them down. Now, if people are concerned about being harassed for driving while black or walking while black, imagine how it will be if they are walking, exercising their Second Amendment rights while black. We've got a Constitution to protect us from that. And under our current law acknowledges that a police officer can stop and detain somebody and demand to see a pistol permit if they have a reasonable suspicion of a crime. That's what the Constitution says, that's what the Supreme Court says, and that's what our law says. And what this bill does is it removes that and just says, go to it. Anytime you think you see a gun, you can detain that person and demand to see a permit. Now, think about how that interaction is going to take place. Cop walks up to a guy on the street who he thinks has a gun. What's he going to do? He's not just going to walk up face to face and say, "Excuse me, sir, do you have a permit for that?" He's going to, first off, demand that firearm is removed from the person, disarm the person while he's checking. So that person is now detained. That person is now cannot leave on his own volition. So they are being detained. Depending on how long that detention takes place, that could be a legal arrest because they're not free to leave. Plus, the police officer probably has the firearm in his possession. Then he runs his permit. How long does that take? I don't know, 5-10 minutes. During that time, this person is either standing on the sidewalk, sitting on a stoop, or maybe has been escorted into a police cruiser for his own protection. These are not going to be good interactions with the police, even for people who have done nothing wrong. And you know who's going to be approached first. People who are walking, who are the wrong color in the wrong neighborhood. This is a bill that opens itself up for abuse. Now, I fully support law enforcement. I know the vast majority of law enforcement officers are conscientious professionals who would never engage in any type of racial profiling. But I can't swear for every one of them, and I don't think anybody in this room can either. And I don't think any commanding officer is able to 100% swear for every single person, because you never know what's going to happen in a given situation. We have a Constitution to protect against just that thing. And what this bill does is it strips away that protection and it puts people at risk, especially people in minority communities. It's a bad bill, and I would hope that people would vote against it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.